Hello everyone. In this video we're just going to talk about simple things that you can do for sound design as well as mixing, and it involves simply using compression and EQ. It's very simple, it looks really easy, and maybe you've been already using it, but I'll show you a few things that I do that can actually change the way you work. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to talk about the EQing and mixing and compression all together, little things that we can do. And in this project we're going to work with EQs first, and after that compression. So for EQs, I'm going to show you a few plugins that I have that I absolutely love. Let's start with the Cambridge. I made this in advance, and we're going to see how it reacts to sound. What I like about this is how it doesn't bring much resonances when you push or cut. Sometimes it's really discreet, but at the same time it's very efficient. If you compare it with the EQ of Ableton, this one goes all the way down to minus 20 dB. Ableton doesn't go below minus 15, so that's something better here. We can search for resonances by boosting. And then cutting. And then we could adjust it with the volume here with the leveler. Once we cut, we then after that can adjust it with the leveler here. This will compensate for the cuts that we've done, but this will only bring the amplitude up. It's a good way to work, but I prefer compression because it seems to glue everything much better. Let's take a look. Here I'm compressing pretty heavily and everything seems like very intense right now, but it's also just merging all the frequencies together. I'm putting the ratio pretty high, and I want the attack to be slow, but at the same time I'm going to put it to medium. The release to be kind of slow, but not so slowish. The ratio here at 20:1 is pretty insane. It's so efficient. You'll never get that with a native compressor in Ableton or any DAW. As you see, I'm going pretty crazy with this. The input is all the way up because I want to see the reduction here going. This tells me that the compression is happening, and the more it compresses, the more it merges everything together. And then you can have parallel compression. The parallel compression will allow you to have the dry signal with the wet signal. So let's compare. So the FET compressor by Softube is one of the best FET compressor on the market. If you don't know about Pheek compressor, I invite you to check the compression series on my blog, where I explain everything about this type of compression as well as other type of compressor, and they are really effective. And this one is one of my favorite. It's very aggressive, and it has like a really raw feel. But there's other compressor that we can use. The turbo compressor by Melda is also really amazing. It has different models of non-compressor, from the distressor to the Neve, the Varimu, and you know, there's tons of others. And the great amazing thing that it does is it really emulates the compressor as well as providing proper sound. And this is something that you want absolutely for your plugins. So let's see with this one. And I'm going to compare. I'm going to compare the difference between the turbo comp and the Pheek compressor. This one is slightly louder just because I didn't adjust the gain. So, you know, you see that it's compressing. This is the gain reduction. I'm not going as crazy as the other one, but we can definitely have a test. I had forgotten that I had the press work, so my bad for that. Now let's talk about the press work. Press work is made by Yuhi, and it's one of also the best compressor that you have out there. It's extremely versatile. It has a really lush and beautiful sound. It can work in MS, and it can also have a really nice warmth injection. It's really a beauty. I love how it works. So let's compare the three together. Okay, now let's do a test. I'm going to put all compressors, and this will reveal what's happening with the sound, and it will also show some problems that there is in there. Maybe some resonance is going to poke through, maybe there's some unwanted frequencies, and after that I can go and try different EQs here to take care of that. I selected the FabFilter Pro Q, the Gliss EQ by Voxengo, the BX Hybrid V2 by Brainworks, and of course the one we saw at the beginning, which is the Cambridge. So I'm going to be comparing all of them, working with the compression, and we'll see how that goes. amazing thing I like about the BrainWorks EQ is how you can monitor the frequency and see what you're cutting away. It's definitely subtle, but it does something. Now let's check with the other EQs. What's really cool about compressing heavily is as I'm doing the cuts, I can tell that some other frequencies are poking through because they're being compressed. So now that they have space, they will come up. So I'm going to go back to the Cambridge. As you see, this one has less resonances. It's more discreet. I find that it does a really good job in mastering because of this quality, but it's still very effective. Perfect. Now, last one we're going to see is the Voxengo. What's different with Voxengo's Gliss EQ, it's a dynamic EQ. It will react to sound, so it will cut only when it needs to. And that way, sometimes with problems that are difficult to handle, this one might be a really good option because it will only cut if something's really annoying or going through. It's not like a brick wall. It doesn't stop the sound from going there. It's just will be applying cutting. This one might be a bit complex, and we could go into a tutorial just for this plugin alone, but I want to show you different possibilities here. Now we're going to compare all the EQs one by one. Ideally, I would need to cut at exactly the same frequencies from one EQ to one EQ just to get the exact same image, of course. But my point here is just to show you how you can have like different workflow from one plugin to another and the differences in the sound. It's difficult sometimes to put the right words to say, okay, this one sounds more like this or that, because it's very abstract, and I find that playing with them, sometimes you'll see that certain EQs work well with certain sounds, some compressor don't work well with certain sounds, and it's about finding combination that eventually will create a perfect combo, and that combo will help define your own sound, and of course will have a certain aesthetic. So for instance, if you like the Neve sound, then you can have like everything Neve, and then you'll have like something that's very, very similar to the hardware, for instance. Not the same, but very close. So I hope this tutorial was useful, and stay tuned for more videos.